all, and welcome to another caffeinated intimate video. It's Art here with the Netflix docu-series review of Mr. McMahon, the limited time series covering the life and times of Vincent Kennedy McMahon, the founder and for a long time owner of the World Wrestling Federation / World Wrestling Entertainment, WWF / WWE. This is not the hit piece that everybody says it is. This is not the takedown piece of Vince McMahon that it could have been or should have been. Rather, I would posit that Netflix should have held on to it after the events preceding the Janelle Grant trial and also the federal investigation that is currently ongoing into Vince McMahon would have concluded, so I would have held on to it, thus being many years into their tenure of having Raw, because as of January 5th, 2025, WWE's flagship show, Monday Night Raw, comes on to Netflix. So it's odd that this came out. But what is this about? Well, the first episode covers before Vince got into business in his childhood, also the late 70s, early 80s of when he got into business, the rise of WrestleMania and Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. Second episode covers the middle 80 years and the meteoric rise of wrestling and the steroid trial and the fall of Hulkamania, or the waning popularity of Hulkamania, I guess would be the best way to put that. The third episode covers the new generation, the steroid trial, his first sex scandal with Rita Chatterton. It covers Phil Mushnick, the New York Times reporter that had it out for Vince McMahon. I think he just reported what he thought to be the truth. I'm not saying it is the truth. I'm not saying it's not the truth. I'm saying that's what I feel Mushnick did. Rightly or wrongly, it seemed like he was on the trail of either trying to take down McMahon, or some would say it was a witch hunt. The fourth episode covers the rise of WCW and the rise of the Attitude Era. The fifth episode covered the Ruthless Aggression Era, and the sixth episode covered the sexual assault allegations of 2022 through 2024, well, through now, and basically the tarnished legacy of Vince McMahon. Now, one thing I do think that they got right is they got everybody on board, including Vince McMahon himself. For many of the episodes, a lot of this comes from the words of Vince McMahon himself. It is definitely worth a watch. Now, what did I think of it? Well, I thought that it was a comprehensive history of WWE in short form, because it's only about 6 hours. It's 6 episodes long. Each episode is about an hour, with the last episode being an hour and 5 minutes in totality. But I do think that the one thing the Netflix documentary tries to do is conflate and meld into one Vincent McMahon himself and the character of Mr. McMahon, which I don't think are the same person. I do think that they are separate people. I think Mr. McMahon was a caricature of Vince himself turned up to 11, like Stone Cold Steve Austin likes to always say. Do I think Vince McMahon is a good human being? Probably not. Where there is smoke, there is fire. Do I think that they do a due diligence job of trying to tell both sides of the story? No, I don't. I think it is a one-sided, because they like I said, they spend the 6-episode arc just trying to conflate the Mr. McMahon character with Vince McMahon. I'm not even sure that Vince McMahon himself knows who Vince McMahon is. And I'm not saying that the things that Janelle Grant alleges happen. I'm not saying that the things Ashley Massaro and Rita Chatterton said happen. I'm not saying any of that. This man's life was rife with scandal, whether it be the steroid scandal, whether it be the Rita Chatterton, whether it be the first federal investigation that he got off of, whether it be this new federal investigation that we know completely nothing about other than they've raided the offices of his home and things like that. But we don't have any details of that. We know that the Janelle Grant lawsuit is paused. And while they say that in text, they don't really paint that innocent until proven guilty. And I'm not saying he's an innocent man. I am saying that if you want a history of who built the WWE and its popularity and what he did and his cutthroat nature, because even he said in one of the interviews he gave for the show that he was a cutthroat businessman and he did what's best for business. That's not only a tagline in wrestling, that is his personal tagline. I'm not saying any of the things that he's alleged to have done have not happened. I'm taking the wait and see approach, the approach that I think Netflix should have taken, because I'm taking the approach of I'm going to let the legal system play out and let the law be the law. I will say it looks damning, but the man's been in a corner before and been come out smelling like a rose. So although things were different back then, he's been surrounded by scandal and by challengers, and I'm not saying he is by any means a good human being. I'm not saying he's a terrible human being. I'm saying he's a human being with a flawed nature, who looks to have a dark underbelly, but of which I cannot say because I do not know the man. And I don't think the Mr. McMahon limited series did a very good job of investigating the man, of seeing the man. I would have tracked down his childhood friends. I would have tracked down maybe if he had brothers or other family members that weren't his son, his daughter, his son-in-law, and Paul Heyman, who apparently thinks the sun rises and sets in Vince's ass. To be quite frank, I wouldn't have picked Hulk Hogan. Like, I would have picked them for the wrestling part of it, but I would have picked people outside of the wrestling business that he knew growing up to tell us who Vince McMahon was, and maybe we could see who Vince McMahon morphed into. I don't think they did a very good job in that respect. So who should watch it? Wrestling fans are already going to watch it. They're going to pull their tribal stuff of, well, he didn't do anything. He built the WWE and WWF, and I love him for that, and all that. I'm not pulling that. I'm taking, I guess it's the history major in me, and having to do thousands upon thousands of hours of research for papers and research for projects to say there's multiple sides to the story. What you think is a square is actually a cube or a pentagon or an octagon. It has multiple sides. It just does. Life is a multifaceted thing. I think anybody that finds Netflix docuseries interesting will probably watch this. What rating would I give it? I would give it a... Well, on one hand, if you want the history of WWE, it's probably an 8 popcorns out of 10. But if you want to find out who Vince McMahon is, it's probably a 4 or a 5 out of 10, because it doesn't paint him in a good light, but it doesn't show a complete picture in my mind. It doesn't get any of his childhood friends, his brother, or anything like that. It gets people within the wrestling business. Now, granted, for 40 years, when the man ran the company, the wrestling business was his life. But there were 40 years prior to that. There's a whole history prior to that that we don't even see. They conflate the Mr. McMahon character with Vince McMahon himself. And I would posit, my first theory, knowing what I know of the Janelle Grant lawsuit, the Rita Chatterton, the Ashley Massaro, the fact that he took steroids, he admits to that. What I would posit is potentially the Mr. McMahon character is an entertainment vehicle for the much, much darker underbelly of Vince McMahon. They didn't do this. They didn't do this. They tried to conflate the two and say, see, he did these evil acts on camera, so this must be him. I think he's a more troubled individual, and for that reason, that's why I would give it 5 popcorns out of 10 total. It's an average documentary. A lot of the stuff I knew already being a wrestling fan. If you're not a wrestling fan, it'll be an interesting watch. It was still an interesting watch. Was it an entertaining watch? Yes, but did it lead to any conclusions? Did it give you a full picture of the subject, Vincent Kennedy McMahon? No. No, it did not. And I am in no way, shape, or form jumping to his defense. It could be that he's a very despicable human being, and all we saw was what he wanted us to see. And so I'm not saying one way or the other. I don't know the man. I'm reserving judgment to see what comes out in the legal proceedings and in the legal system once we know what happened inside that. So, who should watch it? Anybody that watches the Netflix docuseries, anybody who's a wrestling fan is already going to watch it. But if you're looking for an in-depth view to be neutral and give you an opinion on Vince McMahon, this is not the docuseries for you, because it's either going to reinforce your negative thoughts of him, or it's going to be like, this was a hit piece, this isn't Vince McMahon, and you're going to throw it to the side. For me, it was a very mixed reaction documentary. It was entertaining, it was good, and I think they tried to be fair and balanced. I just think they should have held on to it until all the legal proceedings come, so that you can have a satisfactory conclusion and you can actually know more. I don't know why they dropped it when they did, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna stop gushing. I'm gonna stop talking. Leave in the comments down below what you thought of the Mr. McMahon docuseries if you saw it. And we can start a debate in the comments down below. Be respectful down there, as always, because we're respectable human beings on this channel, as you all well know. But until next time, you know I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Central, 10:30 p.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. Please ding the notification bell to be notified when I upload a video. And without further ado, happy watching. I'll see you again soon. And peace.